In other news, a month ago, U.S. President Donald Trump rallied against India's energy trade with Russia, labeling India a dead economy and asserting that the U.S. does very little business with the nation. However, since the SCO Summit in China, the United States President has changed his tune, softening and referring to India as a one-sided friend. He's still bitter about India, but here's what he said.
We get along with India very well, but India has, you have to understand, for many years it was a one-sided relationship. Only now, since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. They were about the highest in the world, number one. And we therefore weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them. So they would send in massive, everything they made, they'd send it in.
Okay, interesting. So Donald Trump, they're claiming that we did do business with India, but it was a one-sided relationship because India, he says, was dumping all of its goods in America, and America did not really have a market in India. But just a couple of days before, on the 1st of September, Donald Trump had delivered a much harsher diatribe, saying that the United States business relationship, as I just mentioned, was a one-sided disaster, quote unquote, with India selling massive amounts of goods to the US, but buying very little itself. While still working with the same agenda, Trump has now attempted to soften the blow, affirming that the two nations get along very well, even as he reiterated his claims of India charging the highest tariffs in the world. Listen in. So what exactly has caused this shift in Trump's tone? Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Tianjin, China. India has now stood strongly by the fact that it's not going to be bullied. It has also affirmed that it will work on its own terms and will not be dictated by a third party. India has also struck a very fine balance, with Prime Minister Modi first visiting Japan and choosing to skip China's Victory Day parade, which is hosting 26 heads of state. India continues to maintain a neutral stance without aligning itself with any nation. The much talked of bonhomie between Prime Minister Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin and China's Xi Jinping has also likely worried the West, with Russia, India, China bonhomie on full display. India's new lines of trade with Russia and Iran that came out of the SCO Summit also back the nation's stance on a free and multilateral trading system. We further seen Prime Minister Modi's meeting with Xi Jinping gaining significant traction in China as well, with coverage across Chinese media and social media. A major breakthrough that came off the SCO Summit was the SCO's condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack, a big win for India's counter-terror and anti-cross-border terror stance. The bottom line is tariff talks are perfectly viable, but principles are non-negotiable. Now, whether Trump continues to impose tariffs on India or reset ties, the onus and the ball is in Trump's court. What exactly will he do? We take that conversation forward. I have with me Ambassador KP Fabian, former diplomat. We also have with us Dr. Ajay Dua, former Commerce Secretary, Gautam Mukherjee, senior journalist, and Joyita Basu, editor of the Sunday Guardian, with us as well. Let me begin with Ambassador KP Fabian. Ambassador Fabian, we all know Donald Trump is no diplomat, surely. However, there's been a little bit of a change in tonality as far as the Trump administration is concerned. We've had a very close aide of his, Mr. Navarro, who's now become infamous in India for all sorts of commentary that he's given about India and about the way we do business, so on and so forth. But do you feel that there is some change as far as Donald Trump is concerned after the SCO Summit? Has that message, as per you, gone across to Donald Trump and his administration?
Thank you. It is obvious that President Trump and his aides, close aides, specialize in giving giving arguments which are consistently inconsistent. As we all know, it is absolutely wrong to say that India is buying oil from Russia has been financing the war in Ukraine, or to say that India's buying the oil has undermined, quote unquote, America's efforts to put an end to that war. So that is one part of it, and we should expect more such comments from them. And I don't think we have to, comment every time they make such comments. Now, coming to your question, whether there is any change in President Trump's approach to India or not, well, for me it is difficult to say. Only thing I would say is that President Trump is slowly recognizing the consequences of the bullying technique which he has been indulging in. And I take it that at some point he would realize that he has to course correct. Now that course correction can come, I'm not saying it will come, can come when later in the month, if Prime Minister Modi goes for the UN GA, and if he meets with President Trump. Let us see.